Welcome to Burning Ice Tech, guys. Today's fun new topic is data loss prevention policies, more commonly known as DLP policies by people in the IT sector. So, in today's lesson, we're going to be discussing what exactly are DLP policies, and we're also going to be covering how or where you can go about configuring these policies. So, in that, we're going to be showing you guys practically how or where you can go and do that. So, I'm going to be on the portal with you guys for that exercise there. So regarding what DLP policies actually are, like the name suggests, this is to prevent you from losing data. Now, in most cases, on most companies, this is going to be a matter of sensitive information. It's obviously not limited to sensitive information. So if some user or client in your company or your client's company is about to share something in a company which is deemed as sensitive information, this DLP policy is basically going to go and kick in and say, no, 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 this is not allowed. You're not allowed to share this outside the company. Now you can go and enforce these DLP policies on just about any platform in 365. You can enforce this on Exchange. You can go and put this on SharePoint, on OneDrive, pretty much you name it, you can go and enforce it. So you will see that when we do a practical demonstration exactly where you can actually go and enforce this. So when you go and set this up, certain conditions need to be met. So maybe if someone shares information inside the company, nothing happens. If they share it outside the company, nothing happens. And maybe if they share a credit card number inside the company, nothing happens. But as soon as they try and share a credit card number outside the company, it's going to kick in. That's the condition that's going to be met. So as soon as a certain condition is met, which we are going to specify obviously in a moment, when that condition is met, a certain action is going to kick in, but only if the condition has been met. So we are going to specify what our terms are. What are these conditions that needs to be met? So it might not trigger the DLP policy if someone shares a credit card number inside the company with a fellow colleague, but as soon as they try and share it outside the company, DLP policy is going to detect that and kick in and say, no, 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 this is not allowed. What are you trying to do here? Why are you trying to share a credit card number outside the company? Now, under actions, you can choose what needs to happen. Is it just going to pop up and say, hey, you're about to share a credit card number outside the company. Are you aware of this? But it's going to allow the user to proceed. Or will it prevent the user from setting this information? And will there be a button that says they can go and overwrite? That's actually an option you can go and choose. It prevents the user from sharing information. It has a little button there that says they can overwrite it, or overrule, I think is the terminology they use. Now, I do not suggest you go and use that option. You can go use that at your own discretion if you want to, but I personally do not suggest that, because how do we know this user, this client knows what they're talking about? How do we know this user does not have malicious intent? It could be that this is a rogue employee that really is trying to share the credit card number outside the company for malicious reasons. So once the information is out there, it is out there. The damage has been done. So I do not recommend allowing your people to bypass these DLP policies. Do not just have it pop up. Do not have them overrule these policies. I would suggest plain out completely block them. Block them, block them, block them. It's obviously in your hands what you want to go and do in the end of the day. But my personal advice to you would be block them. At most, what's going to happen? They're going to go and complain and say, yeah, he blocked me. And then you can always go and allow them. So if they've got a legit reason, you can go and allow them. Now, if they don't have a legit reason, I'm not going to allow them. But if we did allow them to go and overrule, normally if they overrule, there's like a little block where they can go give a business justification. How do I know that's not nonsense? It's very easy for them to go and spill a bunch of nonsense there. I don't know if it's nonsense or not. So I would say block them completely. All right, so now that we've got a fair idea what DLP policies more or less does, I'm going to show you guys on the portal exactly how and where we can go and configure these DLP policies. So unfortunately, we're going to have to go to the Microsoft Security and Compliance Center. That used to be the same portal, but nowadays there's two different portals. You get the Security Center and you get the Compliance Center. So we'll see that in a moment. So let me just jump off first of all to the normal 365 portal. Well, here we are, boys and girls, on the normal 365 portal. So I suppose it was not really necessary to go all the way this far back, but there are some people that don't know how to go and do this at all. So first of all, you go to the normal 365 portal, which is where we are now, and you need to have some sort of administrative privilege to be able to do this. Otherwise, you're not going to find this little gray tile at the bottom left that says admin. So I'm going to click on that little gray tile that says admin. That's effectively going to take me to the main admin portal for 365. That's where you want to be for now. Once you land on the main admin portal for 365, which is where we are right now, in the navigation pane on the left hand side, click on show all to expand. scroll down to the section that says admin centers. As we've said in previous lessons, this does not necessarily show you all your admin centers. If you would like to see all the admin centers, you're going to have to click on this little button here. It says all admin centers. And here you can obviously see a list of all the admin centers. So the one we're looking for today is security and compliance. Now, if you go and click on the security, it's going to open an additional tab. It's going to say security and compliance in the little tab title there. And if you click on compliance, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to open an additional tab. It's also going to say security and compliance in the title there at first glance, at least. And then eventually it's going to change the title. Now, these are not actually the same portals. They might look like the same portal at first glance, but they're not. So today we're going to be going to the compliance portal. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to open a new tab. Alrighty, here we are on the compliance portal, as you guys can see. So now we've got a new navigation menu here on the left hand side. The one we're looking for today is data loss prevention for DLP. So on the left you can see there it is, data loss prevention. I can actually scroll down a little bit so you can see what other options there are. There's quite a few options you can go have a look at. So we'll cover them all, or most of them at least, in this course at some point, sooner or later. So there we go, data loss prevention. Ideally, you want to go and create a new policy. So in the past, you were able to just off the bat click on the button here. It says create a policy. Now I see it's changed somewhat, and that is Microsoft for you. They're constantly changing these cloud platforms. So you're probably going to have to click on this little tab here. It says policies, because it's a policy we want to go and create. As you can see, there are currently no policies. We're going to go and create our first DLP policy. So that's the first exercise. We're going to show you guys how to create one. And then we're going to show you guys how to enforce said policy. So let's start off by clicking on creating a policy. Now I need to go and give it a name. So like I said, today's example is going to be how to go and block a credit card number from being shared outside the company. This can apply to just about anything. So as soon as these folks are about to share whatever this information is, in my case it's a credit card number, that's a condition that needs to be met. So as soon as a certain condition is met, a certain action is going to kick in. In my case, the condition is if a credit card number gets shared outside the company. So if it gets shared inside the company, it might not trigger it. If anything else gets shared outside the company, it might not trigger it. But the fact that it's a credit card number and the fact that it's being shared outside the organization is going to trigger this DLP policy. And that's going to make the action, whatever the action is, kick in. Now, this action could be just to inform you as the administrator. It could be to inform the user that, hey, sir or ma'am, you're about to share blah, blah, blah. In this case, it's a credit card number. You're about to share a credit card number. This is not allowed by the company. It could just pop up, but they can actually overrule it if they want to in some cases, depending on how you set this up. It could be a policy tip that pops up in email. So an email or wherever it's going to pop up and just say, hey, are you aware you're about to share this outside the company? This is a credit card number, but they can ignore it. Or it can pop up with a little email. It can send them an email. It can send admin an email saying, hey, this is what's about to happen. Or it can just block them. And in some cases, the user will have the ability to go and overwrite it if you've given them that ability. My personal favorite, and the one I would suggest to you guys, obviously I can't choose for you, is to just full out block it. You know, it's better to go and block it and have them complain about it than have them overrule you. And then afterwards, once that information is out there, it's out there. There's nothing you can do about it. The damage has been done. So there are templates, there are categories you can go and choose. Obviously, if you're in financial sector, health, or whatever, you can go and choose one of these. Today, we're just going to choose custom, so you guys can see what it looks like. So we're going to go for custom policy, next. Give it a name. I suppose you can call it whatever you want. I'm just going to say credit card numbers being shared outside the company. I don't know. I'm making it up as I'm going along. Okay, so description should be, what are we going to make the description? There we go. Prevent people from sharing credit card numbers outside the company. I think that's the description I'm going to give it. It's up to you guys. The name is not really that important. The description, it's more the actual conditions and actions that's important here. I'm going to go click on next. On this menu, we get to choose where this DLP policy is going to be in effect. You can see we can have this apply to Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams. Now, considering that this course is about Microsoft Teams, this is the MS-700 course, we're going to be focusing on the Teams side of things. So in Teams, we want to prevent people from sharing credit card numbers physically inside of Teams. So if someone's going to try and type that in the chat, or if they're going to try and post it in a channel inside of a team, this is ideally supposed to prevent them from sharing that information. or if they upload a document to Teams that contains a credit card number, we don't want that. That's a no-no. So by default, you can see it's turned on for all of these platforms. So that's probably what most companies will go and use. For today, I'm just going to leave it on for Teams. That's the exercise here. I'm going to close that. There we go. It's just going to be applicable to Teams. I think that's good enough for now. You can go and choose these options if you want to. For now, I'm satisfied. I'm going to click on Next. Here on the define policies, decide if you want to use the default settings from the template you selected to quickly set up policy or configure custom rules to refine your policy further. I would suggest just leave this on the default for now. I'm going to leave this on the defaults. Customize advanced DLP rules. So the rules here are made up of conditions and actions. So here, it doesn't look like much, but we're about to go and set up rules. I think for now, we're just going to do one just to show you the gist of it, how it actually works, the mechanics in the engine room, so to speak. So I'm going to go here to create a rule. Give it a name. Name is not too important, so I'm just going to give it something simple. That should do it for now. I just made the name and description more or less the same. Credit card numbers being shared outside a company. I think that's going to meet our expectations. Now, under conditions, what are the conditions that needs to be met for this DLP policy, this data loss policy to actually kick in? So in our case, we obviously know it's a credit card number. So that's going to be the condition. As soon as a credit card number is being shared outside the company, that's the condition that's going to be met. So we're going to go here to conditions and add a condition. Contains, so you can go and choose content is shared from 365 or the content just contains certain information. In this case, it's going to contain a credit card number. So as soon as it contains a credit card number, you can leave the name on the default for now. I'm not really too concerned about the name. I'm going to go here to add sensitive information types or info types, depending on how you see it. You'll see there's a very long list of things you can choose from. So the one we're looking for today is credit cards. I'm going to scroll down until I find the letter C for credit card. Here we go. There's credit card number. I'm going to select the credit card number. Add. All right, so how accurate is this thing actually going to be? We want this thing to be very accurate. Instance count. I highly suggest you leave this on 1, especially if it's something important as a credit card number. We don't want this thing to only kick in after 3 attempts or 5 occurrences of this happening. I mean, can you imagine? That's going to kind of defy the purpose of this whole DLP policy. We're going to be like, okay, you know what, dudes? It's fine. You can share the credit card number once or twice or 3 times. Only after the 4th or the 5th time are we going to start blocking you. By then, the damage would have been done. So in most cases, even if the information is shared only once, the damage has been done. So we don't want to allow this at all whatsoever. So we're going to say instance count 1. That's the one I would suggest you guys leave it on for almost everything in a company. There's going to be very rare circumstances where you're going to make that more than 1. You obviously know when that time comes. So we're going to leave that on that. I'm going to go here to, let's see, what else do we have? Exceptions. We don't have any exceptions in this case. Actions. So if those conditions are met, in other words, credit card, what is the action we want to actually enforce? So we're going to go here to add an action. Restrict access or encrypt the contents in 365 locations. Yep, that sounds like something we want to do. So we're going to click on that. All right, on this little menu, click on the little tick box that says restrict access or encrypt the content in the Microsoft 365 locations. Now you're going to see a bunch of options here. The one that I would suggest is block everyone. Block everyone. Only the content owner, last modifier, and site admin will continue to have access. So that's going to be something like credit card. We don't want anyone to have access to this credit card. Nobody. Only the owner and the admin. We're going to say block everyone. It's up to you. You can go and choose another option here in your company if you want. Obviously, this is based on circumstances. It really depends on what the information is about. Only you, the admin in this company, would know best what's going to be suited for your specific environment. I'm going to scroll down here. Let's just see what else we have. User notifications. So should this user be in violations of some sort of condition, let's say he or she is about to send a credit card number outside the company, besides blocking it, what else happens? Does it actually inform the user or the admins of this occurrence? It doesn't help, it just blocks it, but it doesn't inform the user or the owners of this happening. So I would encourage you to go and have at least some form of notification. You need to inform someone, otherwise nobody's going to know why this thing is being blocked. They're gonna, complain and moan, this thing is not working, it sucks. Meanwhile, it's because they're in violation of some sort of policy. So I'm gonna turn that on. Who does it need to notify? Notify the user who sent or shared the last modified the content. So I'm going to scroll down here today. I'm going to choose the one that says customize the policy tip text. Policy tip text is like a little bubble that's going to pop up. So if this is an exchange email, as soon as you're about to start, if you're about to start typing that credit card number, I think maybe it'll only pop up once you've actually typed the whole credit card number. But as soon as you start typing that credit card number in Exchange or in your Outlook, it's actually going to pop up even before you try and send that email. It generally pops up and says, hey, dude, you're about to send a credit card number, and that's a no-no in this company. So before you even send it, it's going to tell you, you know what, this is a violation. Now, in this case, this is going to apply to Teams, since this policy is specific to Teams. So if you try and type a credit card number in Teams, it's going to detect that. And before you even send it, it's going to tell you, you know what, this is a no-no. So I'm just going to give a little tip here to the user. This is what's going to be displayed to the user that's in violation. I'm just going to say credit card numbers are not allowed to be shared outside. Yeah, I suppose maybe just say credit card numbers are not allowed to be shared. You weenie. Okay, we can't say that. That's just a little humor. Credit card numbers are not allowed to be shared. I think that should suffice. So that's what's going to be displayed to the user if they're in violation of this. At least then they will know, oh, okay, I see. It's because I'm trying to share a credit card number, and that's obviously not allowed by my company. So there we go. Here is an option for the user to go and overwrite. We do not want that. I highly suggest against this. Obviously, that's at your discretion. You can go use that if you want to. I suggest against it. What I would suggest, though, and this is also obviously optional, you can see there's all kinds of options you can go and play with here. I would suggest tick this box here or the sliding bar that says send an alert to admins when a rule match occurs. So if you're the admin, wouldn't you like to know when some user or some client of yours is in some violation of some very important DLP policy? I myself personally would like to know. It doesn't mean I'm going to do something about it because it's probably going to block the user anyway. But at the very least, I would like to know because maybe this user is a malicious user that's actively trying to on purposely share this credit card number. It's not just an accident. It could be on purpose for all we know. So if they're going to be blocked via this way, who's to say they're not going to try and copy this onto a memory stick or a flash drive, whatever you want to go and call it, and share it via some other way perhaps. So you never know. So I would say inform the admin. So I'm going to click on that one that says inform the admin. Here you go and you have the opportunity to go and add admins if you want to. I'm going to blur out some of that email address domain. I don't want you guys to see the domain. I don't want to be spammed and stuff. So I'm going to go here and say add or remove. I'm going to add one of the users in this environment. I'm going to go click on add. Okay, in this little list of mine, I'm going to choose the user Johnny Sherman. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, otherwise this will be a bit awkward. I'm going to click on add. That should suffice for now. You can see Johnny Sherman has been added. Shows the first letter of Johnny's last name there. Now all that's left to do is just to go click on save, boys and girls. So I'm going to click on save. It's probably just going to give me a review screen of sorts. All right, there we go. So once you've clicked on save, that's pretty much it. I think in my case, I actually already had that policy in this environment of mine. Now, what's very important, this is worth noting, is if you are going to go and create yourself a new DLP policy, in other words, data loss prevention policy, that's going to prevent something like a credit card number or whatever it could be in your specific company, this could take up to 24 hours to actually kick in. So just because you've created yourself a new DLP policy and you might even log in as a normal user and try and test it, because that's normally what we do as IT personnel. If you're going to go test it and it doesn't work, that does not mean it does not work. It could be a matter of this policy just hasn't kicked in. The same happens with on-premises when you've got group policies on an on-premises server environment. They could possibly take up to a day or two. So there's a very good chance this policy might not kick in immediately. It might not. So you can go and log on as a normal user, try and test it. If it works, then you know, okay, great, it works. If it does not work, don't panic. I would say leave it about a day. Leave it a day, come back the same time tomorrow or whenever. Come back the same time, check again. It might work then. If it works then you know, aha, it's probably because it didn't kick in yet. So we have covered officially what a DLP policy is and how or where you can go about configuring these DLP policies and why you would want to use them. So the reason is to prevent people from sharing stuff outside the company that is not allowed. Something sensitive for the most part. I hope this video has been informative. If the video has been informative and it's helped you, please give the video a like. Please consider subscribing to the channel so you can be informed of when the other videos for the series comes out or for any of the other courses I may be training. And I'll see you guys next time on episode 10. Bye guys.
If you love me, let me know. Don't then let me.